Let's review our Sunday school lesson for today. Today we are still in our summer quarter that's dealing with many faces of wisdom. And we are in unit number 2, dealing with wisdom in the Gospels. And this unit is a look at the wisdom of God as seen in the teachings and the life of Jesus Christ. And we'll do that from each of the Gospels as it is recorded. Our lesson for today is lesson number 7 for July 19th, 2020. Wisdom that astounds and offends. Our printed text today is Mark chapter 6, verse 1 through 6. On last week, we considered the gospel according to Luke. And Luke told us how Jesus grew from the age of 1 all the way up to the age of 12 and 30, how he grew in wisdom, in stature, and in favor with God and with man. Well, today we consider the gospel according to Mark. And Mark tells us about Jesus at the age of 30, how from his hilly hometown of Nazareth, he goes around and begins his public ministry. And Jesus does two things in his public ministry. One, he goes around preaching the kingdom of heaven. Goes around preaching the kingdom of heaven. And secondly, he goes around doing good. Goes around doing all manner of good wherever he goes. And this miracle and his ministry spans from city to city, town to town, village to village, country to country. But how could Jesus forget about his hometown? So many times we say charity starts at home. And how could Jesus forget about his hometown? The message today in Mark tells us that Jesus came home. And he came to his hometown, but sadly the people of his hometown of Nazareth do not remember him for the great miracles that he has been doing from village to village, city to city. They only remember him for who he was growing up. They say things like, isn't this the carpenter's boy? Isn't this Mary's and Joseph's son? Isn't this the one whose brothers and sisters are still here with us? Isn't this him? And many of us understand that even today, there are some who only remember you for what you were. Amen. There are some who only remember you for what you were. They don't know who you are now, and even how you have changed or how God is working through you. They only know you for who you were. And so they say things like, I remember when they used to run around in diapers. Amen. I remember when they used to eat at my table. And I remember when they were just a snotty-nosed little kid running around. I remember when I had to change their diapers. I remember when they were just a little boy. And some, even at the age of 50, 60, 70, have people still refer to them as children because some will never let you grow up. But Jesus grew up. And he grew up before their eyes, and he grew in wisdom and stature, and he was full of the Spirit. And when he came back home, although there were many who recognized him for who he used to be, they missed that he was the Savior. In fact, as he went back to his hometown, Mark tells us that he did what he did everywhere. He went to the synagogue, started preaching, and that he also began to do great miracles. And the Bible says the people were astonished. And they asked the question in verse number 2, where did he get this wisdom? And what are these miracles that he is performing? Verse 3, isn't this Joseph the carpenter's son, Mary's son, whose brothers are James and John and Judas, and we have his sisters even still here with us? And the B part of verse number 3 says, they took offense, or literally Jesus became a stumbling block to them. The one who was supposed to come and save them became a stumbling block to them. And they marveled at what he said, but then Jesus marveled at them at their unbelief. And it was because of their lack of faith, the Bible says in the D part of verse number 3, that Jesus only did a few miracles there and went on preaching elsewhere. I want to encourage all of us today from this lesson that when wisdom comes to your town or wisdom comes to your life, whatever you do, do not reject wisdom. Welcome wisdom in, for wisdom is the principal thing. And do not let your unbelief, do not let your biasness, do not let pre-notions, do not let any of these things cause you not to welcome in wisdom, because wisdom is the principal thing, and we all should be getting wisdom. And I pray that God will all give us a heart that we would seek after wisdom, which means that we would seek after him. What an awesome Sunday school lesson we have today. Amen.